sun rises and shines its golden light on the waters of the world. I love the sea because it's wide open, a privileged playground for the traveler willing to ignore laws. This morning, some Red Sea fishermen and I are playing hide-and-seek among the cargo ships with a boat full of Jordanian Secret Servicemen who refuse to be filmed. My journey begins on a boat near the edge of a region often considered to be a powder keg at the beginning of the King's Highway. Since ancient times, the King's Highway has been a strategic crossing point where East meets West, traveled by men of God and men of history. Now it will be traveled by me. I'll follow in the footsteps of modern caravans, trying to understand how men have now as always, and despite the kings, followed this route on their journey into human history. I'll go from Aqaba, passing by the intriguing Petra and centuries-old Damascus, to Aleppo. For now, it's the recently drawn borders on the horizon that interest me.
Naturally, there are zones we have to avoid. In particular is the Israeli border. All the fishermen here know it. We normally try to stay between 500 and 1,000 meters away. And the further south we go, the more the sea is open to navigation. But for certain of us here, these regional waters are off limits because Saudi Arabia is down there. You know what I mean? And on the other side is Egypt. Our fishing area is surrounded by all these borders. One time, not far from the border, we stopped our boat in waters with a depth of 700 meters and threw out our bait. We caught a fish and started hauling him in around 10 in the morning. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we were still at it. We were hoping to have caught a shark, so we dragged it around everywhere we could, trying to tire him out. From that zone there to right in front of the royal palace up there. The royal family was on vacation and saw us. They came to give us a hand. We tied the line to a petrol can and the fish took it down. Then very shortly after, the petrol can shot up into the air and then went back down. It was like an explosion. It really was a very impressive sight. We pulled the fish right up by the side. He was bigger than this boat. The people who were around us were panic-stricken, and we were too, because the boat started sinking into the water. We had to cut the line and let the fish go free. It was horrible.
Fishing on the Red Sea is a dangerous sport. They are constantly brushing against boundaries. And despite the quality of the participants, despite their fun and sun attitude, the goal sometimes eludes them. I'll take this lesson with me. Only by looking for the big fish can you go the way of kings. I escape by the coast, this small strip of land from whence men of this world took their first steps. A duck pond where dressed-up dolls leap into the water. Despite the hot 45-degree temperatures, tourists come not only from all over Jordan, but the Gulf countries as well, to have fun on the beach at Aqaba. Appearances can be deceiving. It's all about investments here. And the little fishing village calmly allows itself to be devoured by real estate sharks. The town and its population have tripled in 5 years, becoming almost unrecognizable. But I try anyway. The units for measuring change in a country can be summed up in the height of its sidewalks and the density of its traffic. To ease my mind, I once again think of Lawrence of Arabia, who stood here at this crossroad and promised to become the leader of the Arab revolt. The king seems to have decided to fall into step with him and put his army of consumers in line with the global economy. I establish my plan of attack, dream about the much-anticipated desert of the Wadi Rum that I hope will calm my jumbled emotions. In Jordan, the desert has the taste of phosphates. A train links the port with 3 gigantic strip mines at the end of the Wadi Rum. 3 million tons leave here by train each year for various international destinations. I go back on the rails as though going back in time. I'm heading for Petra. And I head into the sand at the side of Mohammed Abdel Rahman al-Masri, a train driver for more than 20 years, and his assistant, the tea server. Thank you.
You're welcome. It all began because of my father. He was a train driver. So I grew up in the train station at Ma'an, which sort of became my second home. From a very young age, I dreamt of becoming a train driver. And with the grace of God, that's what happened. You see, trains run in our blood.
Transmit.
Do you have anything to report?
There is a problem. The light keeps going from green to red.
Fix that on your end.
Okay, the situation is good if God wills it.
The camels had their time, and the train has too. We've gone from steam to diesel, and now there are even computers. We hope to go even further. Europe is ahead of us in terms of their trains. We have heard about the TGV fast trains, and apparently you even have trains with no drivers. That must be something. What do you think? Wouldn't it be nice if they invited us to Europe to watch their trains run?
The train has its time, and so does the camel. I abandon the certainty of the rails to rediscover the stubbornness of camels, alongside the solitude of the Bedouin, who now face a changing world. The breath of the desert is easier on the lungs when the caravan moves slowly.
The desert is our life. We live here in the desert. In reality, life is not so difficult for us. We find everything we need here. We live by the camels. We sell them, we drink their milk. This is how we are able to earn a living. I live here for the livestock. I have chosen this life. The truth is, it's not very difficult here. Thanks to cars, these regions are close to us. My son is not as isolated from the world as I am. I send him to school in the village.
But later, I want to live here in the desert. Yes, I'd like to have a camel and a goat and live here in the desert. I like it here. It's better here for me than in the city. It's the same for the camels. They can graze here. It's better than being tied up in the city.
The man of the desert is like a tree planted in the sand, straight and proud in the face of a changing world. Train times mean nothing to him. The only schedule that is worthwhile is that of his prayers. But it's the road that calls to me. My wish for the Bedouins is that their tents remain as long as they can on the horizon of possibilities, like so many impregnable sand castles.
Till it sits from the distance, in your whole fill my sky. We'll live till the wonder what more. Will your fool kill my soul? Under my mirror still I feel its sands. Well, my